October 24th, 1944. A veteran American submarine lines up a perfect firing solution after sinking 33 enemy ships. Then, without warning, its own torpedo circles back. Moments later, the deadliest weapon on board becomes the reason dozens of men will never see daylight again. How does the most successful crew in the Pacific become victims of their own design? USS Tang's combat record stood alone in the Pacific. Over just 5 patrols, the submarine destroyed 33 enemy ships, confirmed after the war by the Navy's Joint Army-Navy Assessment Committee. The total, more than 116,000 tons of Japanese shipping, put Tang at the top of the United States submarine force, both in ships sunk and in tonnage sent to the bottom. No other United States submarine matched that tally. The patrol logs read like a roll call of devastation. Tankers, transports, freighters, all lost to Tang's torpedoes. The submarine's third patrol alone accounted for 10 ships in a single sweep. This was not luck or chance. Tang's crew earned 2 Presidential Unit citations for their actions, an honor reserved for the most exceptional valor and effectiveness in combat. The submarine's battle flag grew crowded with kill marks and citations, each one a testament to a crew operating at the absolute limit of skill and nerve. For the men aboard, success was measured in enemy ships erased from the sea, night after night, with a precision that left little room for doubt. Richard O'Kane brought a new kind of discipline to submarine warfare. His approach didn't rely on luck or bravado. Every maneuver, every shot, followed a doctrine of rehearsal and calculation. Before each patrol, the crew drilled firing solutions until they could recite angles and ranges in their sleep. O'Kane, shaped by his time on Oahu, demanded nothing less than a perfect solution. No guesswork, no shortcuts. He insisted on running attack simulations at sea, often in darkness, so that every man understood his role when the real torpedoes left their tubes. Surface attacks at night became routine, not a gamble, because the crew had practiced for every possibility. Orders were crisp and mistakes were studied, not punished, so that errors could be eliminated before lives were at stake. The culture aboard Tang was one of methodical confidence. When the time came to fire, the boat moved as a single mind, each decision rooted in hours of preparation. Human error was squeezed out, leaving only the machines and the ocean to contend with. The Mark 18 torpedo arrived with the promise of invisible attack. Unlike the older steam-driven models, it ran on batteries and an electric motor, leaving no telltale trail of bubbles across the surface. For a submarine hunting under the cover of night, this meant a shot could be fired without warning, the enemy unaware until the explosion. Navy manuals praised the Mark 18 for its silence and its ability to strike without a visible wake. Its battery-powered propulsion, adapted from captured German designs, demanded careful assembly and constant inspection. Each torpedo contained a maze of cells, wires, and a compact motor, all sealed tight against the sea. But the same complexity that made the Mark 18 so attractive also introduced new risks. Electric motors sparked, batteries overheated, and the steering gyroscope, meant to keep the weapon on course, could drift or lock. Production was rushed, and quality control sometimes lagged behind the demands of war. In the patrol logs, the Mark 18 appeared as a silent partner, a weapon that promised stealth, but carried secrets of its own. Night pressed in over the Taiwan Strait as Tang crept along the edge of the convoy's shadow. The coast of China lay just miles to port, a dark line broken only by the faint glow of enemy ships hugging the shoreline. Radar screens flickered with overlapping blips, freighters, tankers, and their escorts packed tight, running north under cover of darkness. On the bridge, lookouts strained their eyes for the shapes of hulls against the black water. Below, the radar plotter called out bearings and distances in a steady, measured voice. Each update narrowed the margin for error. O'Kane kept Tang at surface depth, using the night as his shield. Every maneuver brought the submarine closer, closing the gap to less than 1,000 yards. The convoy's formation forced Tang to thread a path between escort patrols, always one sharp turn from discovery. The crew worked in near silence, hands on controls, waiting for the order to fire. Timing had to be exact, too soon, and the torpedoes would miss or alert the enemy. Too late, and the convoy would slip beyond reach. The geometry of attack left no room for hesitation. Each second in the darkness brought Tang closer to the point where skill, preparation, and fate would meet. At 0229, the first torpedo slid from its tube, vanishing into the black water. The log recorded the time with the same precision as every shot before, 022920. 20 seconds later, the next order came. Another torpedo locked into place, checked and rechecked by the chief torpedo man. At 022940, the final weapon launched, its electric motor spooling up with a faint whine. The stopwatch ticked on. O'Kane stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the distant target. Below, the plotting table tracked both torpedoes as they raced toward the enemy transport. Each man at his station watched the seconds pass, waiting for the telltale sound of impact. The sequence was flawless, timed to the second, executed without hesitation. In those brief moments, everything worked as it should. 2 torpedoes away, 20 seconds apart. The culmination of Tang's doctrine and discipline. No one in the boat suspected that the last shot would not follow its course. Sonar picked up a faint echo from the stern, unexpected, sharp, and out of place. At first, the crew thought it was enemy fire or a stray contact bouncing off the hull. The plotting table showed nothing but clean water behind them. But the ping came again, closer this time, unmistakable in its rhythm. The bridge team exchanged quiet glances. Seconds passed, each one heavier than the last. In the torpedo room, a shout broke the silence. A torpedo was coming back. The realization spread like a chill. Orders snapped out. Rudder hard over, engines to full. Tang tried to swing clear, but the geometry was unforgiving. The torpedo's path curved in a tightening arc, closing the distance with every heartbeat. Men braced themselves at their stations, eyes wide, hands gripping steel. There was no time for debate, no time for second guesses. The sound grew louder, the seconds collapsed. In less than 30 seconds, the impossible had become certain. The weapon meant for the enemy was now hunting its own. The crew waited, trapped in the narrow gap between knowledge and impact. The torpedo struck Tang's port side aft, just behind the engine spaces. The explosion ripped through the hull in an instant, flooding the after compartments and snapping vital cables. Lights vanished. Machinery died. Compressed air hissed from ruptured lines as the boat pitched down by the stern. Within seconds, water surged through the breach, choking off any chance at damage control. The pressure hull, designed to withstand the weight of the sea, crumpled inward as the submarine lost buoyancy. Men in the aft sections had no time to move, the blast and water sealing off escape routes before orders could even be shouted. The forward compartments, momentarily spared, filled with the sound of alarms and the groan of steel under strain. Tang dropped rapidly, settling on the seabed at 180 feet. Silence followed, broken only by the creak of metal and the rush of water through shattered bulkheads. No names were called. In the darkness, the boundaries between stations and ranks disappeared. The submarine that had erased so many enemy ships now rested on the bottom, its own weapon the final cause. There would be no return to the surface for most of the crew. Only the cold, relentless pressure of the deep remained. Modern navies still trust machines to decide life and death in seconds. The Mark 18's flaw was not just technical, it was systemic, born from haste in war. Today, as autonomous weapons evolve, the line between precision and catastrophe remains razor thin. Sometimes, the deadliest threat is the one we build ourselves.